Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am Nurse Muriel. Thank you to all my new subscribers, to my oldies but goodies. Hey, how y'all doing? I am Muriel and I am a registered nurse who prefers long-term care. For all my new subscribers, just like giving y'all that little intro. Right now I'm just sitting outside the barbershop. My boys are in there getting their hair cut. So I decided to come on here and do, an updated video on things to prepare you for long-term care. I'm looking through my analytics and I see that that video of mine is getting quite a few views. So I said, well, let me make a part 2. Not much has changed, but I may be able to offer a little bit more insight on what to expect in long-term care. First and foremost, I want to say, as a registered nurse in long-term care, things are getting a little iffy if you're wanting to be agency. Y'all know on the last video I told you about the agency shift. Well, the staff job I had where I rolled through there and I wasn't on the staff, so I did it as an agency shift. And I had another shift the week after, which was yesterday. And I ended up getting canceled for that, just like I thought I would. And the entire reason for that was because I'm an RN and it is more cost effective to bring an LPN on. So no shade to LPNs, but I'm just letting you know, as an RN, an agency is getting a little iffy out there. For agency RN. Now staff, different story. A lot of people have caught on to the agency thing. Now y'all know I've been doing agency actually for about 8 years. I was doing agency when I had my LPN, and I continued to do it on to my RN. That was prior to C19. So it wasn't a whole lot of nurses that did agency, as far as there were a few who even did travel, but it wasn't that many nurses. Wasn't a whole lot of nurses doing agency at that time. And even myself, I was a full-time staff worker, but I would pick up an agency shift here or there because even pre-pandemic, they were paying agency nurses more than the staff nurses. So, but now things have changed. I actually think there are more agency nurses than there are staff nurses, to be honest. And it's getting a little, getting a little tight in here getting shifts. As a agency RN in long-term care, y'all could just imagine every shift I pick up, which now I only work 2 shifts, but every time I pick up a shift and I get accepted, I think, I might get canceled. But anywho, off of that rant, as a long-term care nurse, I will say be prepared to have a heavy morning and a heavy nighttime med pass. Morning med pass is usually heavy, very heavy. They give you per pharmacy, I believe, regulations, or maybe per DHEC regulations. I don't remember which one. You have an hour before and an hour after. And med pass notoriously on morning shift takes about 3 hours. So just be prepared for a heavy morning med pass, a heavy nighttime med pass. Like your 8, 9s, and 10s are pretty heavy. Your afternoon med pass and your 5 o'clock med pass are not as heavy, but they can sometimes be a little bit much too. But just be prepared for a heavy morning med pass and a heavy nighttime med pass. Be prepared to bring your own equipment, y'all. I carry a blood pressure cuff. I also carry a stethoscope, but that's because of me working in the hospital. Very rarely do I have to pull out my stethoscope in long-term care. Only when I have to check an apical pulse, or when I'm calling, being an RN, I can pronounce the time of death. And you also use it to listen to lung sounds. You're supposed to listen to lung sounds when you're giving someone nebulizer treatment. Let's say a stethoscope, because sometimes they do require an apical pulse, as well as your own pulse ox and your own thermometer. Yes, these places should provide it. Yes, it should. But if you're going to sign off that you check the blood pressure or you check something prior to giving a med, if the facility isn't providing the equipment that you need, you're signing off with a person's blood pressure, whether you're inputting it. How did you come across that? without having the proper equipment, having the equipment. So I would say blood pressure cuff, bring a stethoscope, bring a pulse ox, and have a thermometer, because you will be surprised how many facilities you go to. And even if they do have the equipment, they have one for the whole wing. And when you're passing meds, you don't want to wait till somebody go and get a blood pressure for you to know if you can give somebody their blood pressure medication. So I would suggest have those things. So yeah, be prepared for the facility not to have the supplies you need. Prepared to be able to resolve some conflicts. You'd be surprised with everyone being an adult, how many conflicts arise on the job, and you as the nurses look to resolve these things. Now, I resolve small conflicts. Sometimes it's someone not wanting to do what they got hired to do. Now, I'm not going to ask you to do anything out of your scope, but if it's something that you got hired to do and it's in your job description, why isn't an argument? It's not an argument with me when it comes to me having to give these patients their medication, me having to talk to the family about problems they're having, me having to do wound treatments, me having to come check on a patient because you say they're vomiting, or me having to do those things. But it's a problem when, you're asking someone, can you feed this resident, or can you go and change them because you can smell them, through their clothes. So anyway, just be prepared to have to resolve conflict. But be prepared that you may have to take some things to the higher ups, because you're just not getting any get right from the staff that you're working with. And so you got to be able to communicate well. You got to be able to be calm in situations, and when the need arises, you got to be able to know when you need to take this situation and let the higher ups deal with it, because I'm not there. You're as a nurse there, you're not there to argue with anybody. You're not there to argue with anybody, point blank, period. Not the family members of the residents, not the residents, and not your peers. You're not there to argue with anyone. I hate to say it, if you're going to be working long-term care, don't depend on getting off work the time your schedule says. Yes, it happens that you can get out of there on time, but 9 times out of 10, you're not going to leave the facility for at least 30 minutes after your time that you're supposed to leave. So if your schedule says 7 to 3, don't look out to get out of there till about 3:30. Just have in your mind, I'm not going to leave here to 3:30. If your schedule is 7A to 7P, have it in your mind you're not going to get out of here till 7:30. If you're, whatever your schedule time is, just don't have it in your mind that you're going to get out of there on time. Give it at least 30 minutes, because people are late. People show up late. Sometimes getting and doing report takes time. Anything can happen. So just know that you just have it in your mind you won't get out of there by 30 minutes, and just pray you have someone relieving you that likes to come to work early. I look up with that where I'm at now, because a lot of the nurses that relieve me come in 15 minutes early. So I'm usually out of the door like 7:05. On the other hand, I'm that nurse that's going to show up right at 7 o'clock. And so the ones I relieve, they normally end up leaving like 7:15. So anyway, this is a short little video. Some things just to help you prepare for long-term care. Nice talking to y'all. Like I said, thank y'all for all my new subscribers. If y'all have any suggestions for any videos, just leave them down below, and I will talk to you later. Bye.